Good evening. How are you this evening? This fine, warm evening.
It's quite toasty, isn't it?
Yes.
I closed the windows to, for sound reasons, but not good for temperature reasons. Wasn't that a... Oh, go on.
Go on. No, what are you going to say? Wasn't it what?
Well, I was going to say, wasn't it a pleasure to talk to Kate B last week?
It was a delight.
Yeah. I was...
You was thinking that you
I
were going
thought
to
she had a good voice for radio.
Yeah, I knew that's what you were going to say. You were going to say, I think we should replace Lee David Miller with Kate B.
Yeah, she talked a little less than you too.
I mean, yeah. And yet she had more to say.
I know. No, I don't mean that. That was not a very nice jibe.
It's all right. I think it's what we've all come to expect now.
Oh, dear. I guess, like Starsky and Hutch, we need a good cop, bad cop thing, don't we? This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing. Simon Kennedy Ellis, you have news.
I do. It's true. The thing about news, though, is I'm not sure I'm allowed to say it. So today I had a very interesting day. The last 4, maybe even 5 weeks, I've been very preoccupied, and I got to the point where it was kind of taking over my life in an ungodly way. And by that I mean there was a lot of, let's say, energy, I'll just say psychic energy was spent, a lot of cortisol was spent in preparing for today. Because today I had a panel meeting for what is, I guess, a progression, as well as for a new job.
Okay, so this is the P word, right?
Yes, it is the P word. Prick.
So are you soft launching or hard launching the P word?
It's not really what I want to talk about, but yes.
Okay, that's not the news.
Well, that is the news for sure. But actually, the real news is just what I went through to get into the door today.
Okay. Back right up. Okay, yeah. So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about because we're talking in code,
yeah.
Simon has been interviewed for a professorship.
That's right, for the conferment or a professorial conferment. There you go.
Yes. And the outcome was?
Well, the outcome was I am now a professor.
Welcome to the club.
What do you call two white, middle-aged professor men? That's called a podcast.
I'm so delighted. Simon, this is such good news. Now, wait. Are you professor or professor's designate?
I don't quite know what that means, because the guy who ran the show, the guy who chaired the show says, as far as I'm concerned, you're a professor now.
Okay, so I would say you're professor designate.
Right. Is that like, like before I've basically sworn in at the Capitol, I've sworn in at the...
There'll be a professorial panel that makes the decision.
No, that's done.
Yeah. I'm taking people through the process.
Oh, right, okay.
Hang about.
Sorry, I thought you were confused that that's not what happened today.
No. There'll be a professorial panel that makes the decision, but ultimately, in most institutions, that decision has to be then ratified by the highest academic committee. That could be called an academic board, it could be called Senate, but usually the professorial panel will have to, or professorial board will have to report to a higher authority. And it's really just for noting, but that's why in this interim period, Wow, sorry, I just knocked everything over. I'm so excited. In this interim period, you will be Professor Designate.
Right, so PD.
PD.
Nice. So it was
Congratulations.
Thank you. And
jubilation.
jubilation, yeah.
Or celebrations, whatever.
I don't know, I think you might be right there. So yeah, it was, I mean, it's a strange thing because I don't know where you suffer anxiety the most. And I'm not a particularly anxious person. At least I don't think I am. But wow, does that, whatever that situation is, whatever was going on in that situation, and I think it was about, if I was guessing, I think it's about being exposed to a very particular kind of hierarchy. I think. And then also being asked questions that, of course, I don't know what the questions are. And by and large, they're questions that I should be able to answer, whilst dancing a dance. But yeah, I did a lot of preparation, way, way too much preparation in the sense of I've got to cover every possibility. And then on Monday night, I got woken up. I was staying at a friend's place for some work stuff, and they had a dog who was snoring next to me. And so it's very hard to stop a dog snoring. It's not like you can sort of ask it to roll over,
Yeah, I'm well aware of this. Bob has been away for an entire week, and I've had a dog who 2 nights ago decided, you know what, Lee, it's really hot, and the best way to get cool is to lie on top of you.
Yeah, it doesn't say a lot for Jeffrey's smarts, does it?
He stopped panting the moment he relaxed on me. He was like, I'm going to give you all of my heat. So I think he just used me as a heat sink. So I think he might potentially be very clever.
I like to think of you as a heat sink. I love
Thanks. Anyway, snorri dog.
Snorri dog. And so I was lying there awake, and I started, classic ruminating, going through what might happen. And then I went into full-on catastrophe mode.
Yeah.
And actually I actually pinched my skin to remind myself, like I didn't draw blood, but I hurt my finger, like pinched my finger in order to say, you are here. That is not happening. And it's been very up and down. I mean, an amazing challenge dealing with that kind of anxiety. I mean, I've loved it and also not wanted it to be there. Like incredible challenge, which pretty much stopped as soon as I walked in the room.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, there's a little bit, and I had to be on my best behaviour, etc. I made a couple of bad jokes, but
I was going to say that must have been so hard for you.
Oh my God! The moment when they said, "So we have to ask this, but are you prepared to travel for your job?" And he even said, "I mean, this is strange given where you're from," and. And I said, "Can I say no?" Yes, I said, "Just a Sardinia, thanks." I did not say that.
No, funny that.
But yeah, so I guess I don't know what there is to talk about there other than it's something about, and I don't really want to make it about me because that's not really the point of the this podcast. But wow, isn't that kind of it's acute anxiety, very focused on a very single thing, which by and large doesn't really exist in my life at all.
Yeah, I think you asked an interesting question about where does anxiety live, and then you earlier on, like quite a few minutes ago, and I wondered, were you asking where that sits in the body?
No.
Because I always find that fascinating where people's... Okay, so there's a distinction here, a significant distinction between stress and anxiety, right?
Yes.
Because at the minute, I am struggling with cervicogenic headaches, which is a complete fucking joy. I can't tell you how much fun I'm having.
So they're back?
They never really went. They just chilled out when I went on holiday. But yeah, I have now.
I mean, it's clear that you just need to go on holiday, don't you?
Yeah, I just need to live on holiday. I just need to retire. But
I just think if they'd said no today, I would go, okay, fuck, that's it. Thanks. I'm retiring.
I'm retiring. Cheers. Take care. Oh, fuck y'all. I've had my head CT back. You'll be very pleased to know there is a brain in there.
Oh, good.
And it is doing nothing that it shouldn't be doing.
Right. So no surprising results there, because that was just a CT scan for reassurance purposes only.
Absolutely. That's neck and shoulder and all of that, and posture and too much screen time and too much traveling and all of those sorts of things. But that's not where anxiety lives for me.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's stress. That's kind of basically low grade, persistent.
Persistent,
meaning it's as the consequence of persistent stresses.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a physical response effectively to persistent stresses.
Yeah, and just having to kind of and once you get the clear scan and you know that there's nothing wrong, it's like, okay, now I can really think about what am I doing. Oh, right, I've really got to think about my neck and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to make a crazy suggestion, but is there any way that you can reduce the persistent stresses that are causing this?
No. Right now, not at all. I've got probably another week and a half of it, and then it will literally fall off a cliff edge. It will just stop. The stresses will disappear because they're all external to me, and they are, they're just the usual deadliney things. It's just, sometimes you have one of those months. This has been one of those years. Yeah,
I don't like that, Lee Miller. I have to say. I mean, just as your friend, and it just worries me. I know that it's a year, and maybe you're saying that the year is about to end, etc.
Yeah.
But, it's worrying.
I don't love it, but I think I will have to be. I'll have to be paying more attention to myself. But yeah, so I think there's that sense of knowing that something's going to come to an end. So thank you for worrying about me as my friend, and that's really sweet of you. But I know it's going to sort of pause. But I think the thing that I find interesting is I've got sort of two places in my body where anxiety live, and there's kind of like the anxiety which is like immediate. It goes into my tummy, and I'm like, oh, I feel really sick.
Ooh.
Like really, really sick. And then when it goes up a bit, it completely stops in my stomach, and then my breath is just impossible to control, and I can't even talk properly.
You mean you or you just can't control it?
Just can't control it. So I can't work out how to breathe in
and out. Does sighing help? Which often does help.
Doesn't. I can't. I mean, bearing in mind, I've spent a lot of my life either in acting or in yoga doing breath control, and it's not ever been a problem in performance contexts. I never have experienced stage fright. I've never really lost my breath there. It's very much, it's like the situation that you were talking about. So in a particular type, sometimes I will walk into a job interview and I'm like, don't give a shit. You don't have to give me the job. I don't care. I don't want it. And I'm super chill. But then, if it's something that I really want...
This was not that, of course.
No, of course it wasn't.
I was really, felt a lot of responsibility, not just to me, but also to, the organisation I work for, the centre I work for.
I want to come to that in a second, but I just want to know, does anxiety live in your body in a particular place?
So, do you know about heart rate variability, right? So that generally when we're walking around and everything's all healthy, our heart rate varies enormously. Like it's not like this kind of tuk tuk tuk. And but when you're stressed or have anxiety, it becomes like dunk dunk dunk. It becomes very 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 singular. Like the heart rate variability reduces massively. And so I've had periods in the last 4 weeks of just like duk 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 in my chest. When your heart rate's like that, or when your heart is beating in your chest like that, very hard to avoid, very hard to ignore, I should say. So lots of that, and the only things that would help ease that, actually lots of things were helping, but definitely moving helps. So the sort of sense of shaking my body, or that sort of seems to calm it down, definitely meditating, or also slow breathing, very slow, with holding my breath at the midpoint as well. But yeah, so that was the mostly. I mean, other than the catastrophizing, which was getting to that kind of sense of what happens if they ask me a question and I completely blank.
Yeah.
And so I created scenarios for myself if that were to happen, what I would say.
Yeah.
Which is a little over the top, isn't it? Because all I'm doing is answering some questions about a job I know very well.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, but it does speak. It speaks to that sense of investment. And you were saying the responsibility you felt. Talk a bit about that.
I think the thing about the sense of responsibility was really the feeling like, interesting, because almost as if I wasn't just representing myself, but also the people and the centre that I work for. That somehow if I performed poorly, it would reflect badly on the centre. So, I don't know how interesting this is in a way. I don't want to kind of poor old Simon, but it's a very curious experience.
You're being unfair,
especially
Simon. No. You're being really unfair to yourself there. That sense of what is interesting and what isn't interesting. We're talking here about the relationship between ambitions for ourselves, but then how those ambitions are have tendrils that connect to other people. And the word professor is great because it's an indication of esteem that sits on you. There's probably an extra £32 a year that will go into your salary. It's not a massive pay hike.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe a couple of grand a year, but no.
You might just it might squeak up that much. It's not a big it's not a big leap, and this might be uninteresting to other people, but we've said this in the abstract and actually sometimes in the concrete that the UK higher education sector is in a terrible, terrible state.
No, it's all over.
It's absolutely
except Oxford and Cambridge and the London School of Economics, but
yeah. I know. I blame the billionaires. That's what I always do. So now I'm going to blame the billionaires' husbands. In this particular instance, I'm going to go back to Rishi Sunak and the idea of Maya got a job in cyber instead of being a ballet dancer, despite the fact that cyber's not a job, as we all know. Just the kind of over the last sort of 16 years or so, our
non-British listeners will not have a clue what you're talking about. But yeah.
There was an advertising campaign that the government ran, which basically was to try to convince people who wanted to be in the arts to not be in the arts. And so there was a picture of
a ballet dancer. I think I seem to remember a tutu in the mix, but then
there was a tutu and there was point shoes, and I think she was sitting down, taking her shoes off, and the sort of the legend beside it is Maya got a job in cyber.
I love that you remember her name.
Hang about, Maya got a job in what?
Maybe we should get Maya on the show next week. I'd like to hear.
We can't because she's already busy in cyber. She's got no time to talk to us.
Yeah. She might come back to her roots, come back to her arts and humanities roots, just to speak to us.
that might happen. But
hi, Simon and Lee. I'm Maya. I used to be a ballet dancer, but now I saw the light. I saw the STEM light.
It's not even the STEM light. I wouldn't mind if it said Maya's in STEM because that means something. But Maya is in cyber, which is just a word. It's like saying Maya is in dough. It's like, what? What does that mean? Well, she's in dough. Is she making bread? Is she making... What do you mean by that? I don't... Anyway.
I tell you what, though. I don't care what they say about my previous life. Soon, Simon will be in dough.
But I think this... So this is a very messy and tangled way of saying the sector that we're in is in trouble.
It's precarious.
And the fact that you have just become a professor within that sector, within a part of that sector, which is, let's be honest, dance, not the safest place to be in.
No, mostly we're heading towards cyber.
And so for you to be given a professorship is an indication of, I think, belief and faith in the territory that you are supporting. So I can totally get that idea of your responsibility, that felt sense of responsibility to your colleagues. It makes a lot of sense, and I think that is interesting about how we invest and how we our self-worth extends beyond us into other people. I think, anyway.
Oh, I do think that is interesting. It's slightly more complicated here in a way, but I did feel like the last 4 weeks of my life have been dominated by unnecessary anxiety, in which I knew that it was unnecessary, in the sense that because all the times in my life where I've had similar kinds of, mostly pre-performance stuff, right, really, really strong, where I'd get up in the middle of the night and practice the dance moves as if somehow I was going to forget them overnight. I mean, hello. And I know from those circumstances, precisely those circumstances, that every single time, Lee David Miller, I haven't had some issue with the performance. Other than I suspect that it's very hard to perform optimally under those kinds of physiological conditions. So, yeah, super interesting day. I mean, weeks, but today in particular, I was lying on the bed in the heat, just relaxing, and then every now and again a wave of tuk 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 tuk. Yeah, really. And then just lying, there's a beanbag in the sort of shared office space, and I was just lying there in the cool, just waiting, and then I got called up, and I was pretty nervous at the beginning, but really, very quickly did I go, oh yeah, I've got a handle on this.
Yeah, I know how to do this. I know how to sit in a room and talk to people. I do it every day.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
50, I can imagine. There's a part of me which is like 57-year-old. Am I really? These people are not. It's not like they're out to they're not trying to catch me out. They're peers. Slightly more senior than I am, but very, very. It did feel like a lot of energy spent on something unnecessarily, but also, wow, what an amazing experience as a human being, just to be kind of sitting with that kind of anxiety, not really wishing it away, not really, but also it's not very comfortable.
And to be doing all of this in one of the hottest weeks on record.
I know. I didn't show up in a suit today. You'll be pleased to know. I turned up in some jandals. Big shout out to my Kiwi friends. Pair of shorts and a singlet.
I love this. I love it. I was
some
chairing
flip-flops.
Some flip-flops, some thongs.
I wore a thong.
Yeah, which is just, please don't say that, because my mental image is completely problematic.
We did actually, one of the first questions I was asked was about dance and about the kind of abstractions, and some of after I gave this presentation, which was kind of more a presentation about strategy, really. And the chair actually asked me about, does this suggest that the word dance in the Centre for Dance Research is misleading? And it was such a good question and such an interesting question. But I said, I said that. Yeah, we've really debated this hard as a team, and I was going to reassure you by actually just doing a little dance at the beginning of this whole thing, just to make sure everyone knew that this is a dance. But anyway, it was a really, really good experience, but also challenging.
Yeah, I don't envy anybody who had to do complex things in front of other people this week. So well done you. I chaired a Viva on Wednesday, and I was just spending the whole time thinking, you poor sod.
Oh, I know. Was the room air conditioned well enough?
No.
Of course not.
Of course not.
We had a big kind of one of those old sort of mechanical air conditioners where you put half the unit out the window. But they couldn't figure out how to do it, so they had the sort of window open, and then they'd sort of duct taped it onto the and also the room. It was a hybrid meeting. There was one member of the panel was remote, so it was because everyone loves a hybrid meeting. But
it's the best thing in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, but technologically, it went pretty well actually.
Technology.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got. That's my news. I'm a professor. We both are. Finally.
Congratulations.
I caught up.
Simon.
Thank you, Lee Miller.
Bye.
Bye.
You caught up. What a stupid thing to say.